A cajon is a very simple instrument by design. At its core, it's a box with a playing surface, internal voicing, and a relationship between wood, tension, and touch. There's limits to what can be patented or protected in any meaningful way. That simplicity is part of what makes the instrument honest. It's also what makes authorship harder to see once the instrument leaves the shop. I've been building cajons full time for 17 years now. And something that I've learned is that simplicity doesn't reduce the importance of origin. It actually increases it. When every instrument is different, especially fully custom work, the question becomes practical rather than philosophical. How does anyone know where it came from? Long before modern branding existed, craftspeople marked their work. Blacksmiths, they stamped blades. Furniture makers branded rails. Luthiers signed soundboards or placed labels inside the instruments. These marks were not decorative. They were statements of responsibility. A maker's mark said, "This came from my hands, and I stand behind it." Those traditions existed long before formal trademark law. As trade expanded and objects moved further from their makers, those marks became even more important. And over time, trademark systems simply formalized something craftspeople were already doing. A mark identifies the source of an object. It distinguishes one maker from another. It allows reputation to follow the work. That's what a trademark does in practical terms. It ties an object to its origin in a way that can be recognized and protected. In fields where designs are complex or patented, the connection can live in form alone. In handcrafted percussion, where designs are simple and ideas move quickly, that connection has to be visible. I've seen this play out over and over. Over the years, I've made decisions based on comfort, durability, and feel. One example is beveling the corners of a cajon so it's easier on the hands. When I started doing that, it wasn't common. It worked. And over time, it became widespread. That's not a complaint. That's just how good ideas move through craft. But it's also a reminder that most elements of an instrument can be copied once they prove useful. Quality can be replicated. Materials can be sourced. Construction details can be studied and adopted. In a simple instrument space, almost everything about a drum can eventually be imitated. The one thing that cannot be legally or ethically copied is a maker's mark. That's why it carries weight. There's also a practical business reality here. I learned a long time ago that paid advertising is a game I cannot win. I'm a one-man shop. I will never have a marketing budget large enough to compete with corporate advertising. There are very large companies competing in the cajon market space. And if I try to outspend them, I'm just throwing money away. They will win that game every single time. The game I play is different. My advantage is craftsmanship, uniqueness, the ability to build an instrument around a specific player instead of a demographic. Yeah, that kind of work doesn't scale through ads. It spreads through recognition, through people seeing an instrument, hearing it, touching it, and knowing who made it. In that context, the maker's mark is not just tradition, it's communication. It's how the work carries its identity forward without advertising dollars behind it. When someone encounters one of my drums on a stage, in a studio, or in a photo, the logo is the only reliable way that connection is made. Without it, the work becomes anonymous, no matter how well built it is. When I trademarked my logo, it wasn't a marketing exercise in the conventional sense. It was a practical decision rooted in experience. It was about protecting attribution in a field where originality is often quiet and incremental rather than dramatic. The logo is the only element on the drum that is uniquely and permanently tied to me. It's important to separate ownership from authorship. Once a drum leaves my shop, it belongs to the player. It doesn't belong to me anymore. They'll play it, travel with it, and live with it. That's not in question, but the fact that I made it doesn't disappear with the sale. The logo isn't about control. It's about responsibility. It says, I built this instrument and I'm willing to put my name on it. That's why the logo lives on a playing surface. It's not to dominate the instrument. It's not to distract from the music, but to exist where the relationship between the player and the instrument actually happens. It's placed deliberately and with restraint, but it isn't hidden. A maker's mark that's tucked away stops doing its job. Consistency is another part of this that often goes unnoticed. People recognize my work not because of one standout feature, but because the decisions are consistent over time. The way instruments are built, the way they're finished, the way they're presented, and logo placement is part of that continuity. Changing it casually introduces inconsistency into a system that only works because it's repeatable. There's also a long view to consider. A marked instrument carries provenance. Its origin is clear. An unmarked instrument relies on explanation and memory. In resale, in studios, on stages, and in photographs, clarity adds value. Ambiguity doesn't do that. None of this is about ego. It's about honoring craft, lineage, and responsibility. A maker's mark isn't a signature added for attention. It's a quiet statement that the work has a source, and that source stands behind it. In a simple instrument where almost everything can be copied, once it proves itself, that matters more than ever.